Getting left at the altar is one of the most heartbreaking experiences a person can go through. You feel embarrassed and almost betrayed that your partner would give up on you right before the big moment. Unfortunately, some celebrities have gone through this horrible experience, and I will be breaking them down in this list. Starting off with number 10, Julia Roberts and Kiefer Sutherland. The fact that these two even dated at one point in time is a shock to me. But back in 1991, the pair were engaged and headed for marriage. They met on the set of Flatliners and quickly fell in love. They were set to get married in a lavish ceremony at the 20th Century Fox soundstage, not exactly sure why, but that was the decision. However, the wedding did not end up happening. 3 days before the wedding, Julia got cold feet and decided she didn't want to marry Sutherland. On June 14th, the day Julia was supposed to marry Kiefer, she decided to instead travel to Ireland with a friend. Kiefer was shocked with the sudden decision and later called the split painful. Thankfully, the pair did move on and got married to other people years later. And at number 9, Hugh Hefner and Crystal Harris. Hugh Hefner is not the type of man you would expect to get married, but after having a falling out with Holly Madison and the other girls next door, Hef decided to settle down with Crystal Harris. They planned to get married in June of 2011, but shockingly Crystal was the one who decided to back out only 5 days before. Hugh decided to take the news lightly and jokingly tweeted, quote, "Crystal has had a change of heart," and scheduled a screening of the movie Runaway Bride at the Playboy Mansion. However, the pair managed to get back together and they planned a second wedding, which both parties attended. They officially got married on New Year's Eve of 2012 when Crystal was 26 and Hugh was 86, and she remained his wife up until he passed away at the age of 91. And at number 8, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck. These two looked like they were a perfect match and were so in love. Ben proposed with a massive $1.2 million 6.1 carat pink diamond, and they invited all their celebrity friends to their lavish September 14th, 2003 ceremony. But they did not end up getting married. After cheating allegations against Affleck became public, Affleck called off the wedding. At first they just postponed the wedding, but shortly after it was completely called off. A Canadian dancer came forward and claimed she hooked up with Ben while they were together. In her memoir, Lopez admitted that, quote, "It felt like my heart had been torn out of my chest. She was obviously devastated." Even more devastating was how quickly Ben moved on with Jennifer Garner. When Ben and Jen married in the Turks and Caicos Islands in June of 2005, Garner was already 4 months pregnant with their first child, Violet. J-Lo then went on to marry Mark Anthony. However, both of these marriages ended in divorce, and in a shocking twist, Bennifer is now back on, and it seems like they are more in love than ever. Maybe they'll walk down the aisle again. And at number 7, Demi and Emilio Estevez. Way back in 1986, these two were said to be married at a lavish ceremony in a ritzy Bel Air estate. But shortly before it was set to happen, the pair decided to call off the wedding and remain friends. They got engaged after only 6 months of dating, after meeting on the set of St. Elmo's Fire. She also revealed he is the main reason that she got sober. She wrote, quote, "Emilio and I started dating seriously after I got sober. We were together for 6 months and then we got engaged and I moved in with him to his condo in Malibu. He was very sweet, very attentive, and looking back I think a major factor in how quickly we moved was that I was craving a family and he had a close relationship with his." After splitting, Demi moved on quickly with Bruce Willis, marrying him in the next year. And at number 6, Carson Daly and Tara Reid. Another unlikely pairing, but these two got engaged in 2000 after 17 months of dating, but they never made it to the altar. At first the wedding was pushed back while they tried to figure out how they wanted to move forward. But not long after, they decided to cancel the wedding altogether. Years later, Tara admitted that she regretted not marrying him because she feels her life would be in a better place now if she had. She said, quote, "I think if I would have married Carson, I'd probably have kids by now. I wouldn't have had all that crazy partying. My life would have been completely different. I've never loved anyone the way that I loved him." Carson says he dodged a bullet by not getting engaged to Tara. He told Elle in 2013, quote, "To some extent, I dodged a bullet. I was getting serious about my career, and she wanted to shoot movies and just party in her time off. That didn't work for me." He then decided to date a non-famous woman. Halfway at number 5, Gwyneth Paltrow and Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt was at the center of a marriage scandal before the infamous cheating scandal between him, Angelina Jolie, and Jennifer Aniston. These two met early in their careers on the 1995 movie Seven. The couple were smitten and planned to get married in East Hampton, New York in the summer of 1997. But before the big day came, Paltrow decided she was not ready. She said she was too young for that big of a commitment, adding, quote, "I just made a big mess of it and I was very upset for a long time about it." Before the big day, Brad seemed very excited to get married, telling Rolling Stone, quote, "I can't wait to walk down the aisle, wear the ring, kiss the bride." After things ended with Gwyneth, he moved on to date a few other women before getting married to Jennifer Aniston. And I think we all know the mess that happened after that. And at number 4, Sienna Miller and Jude Law. This pair seemed destined to be together forever. They dated for 2 years before getting engaged, but before they were officially married, Sienna Miller decided to call off the engagement in July of 2005. She had learned that Jude Law was having an affair with the nanny and no longer wanted to be with him. They remained apart for many years after, until they shockingly got back together in 2009. They started dating again and were getting pretty cozy together. It was even rumored that they might be engaged once again and planning a 2010 wedding in France. But that did not happen, and they split for a second time in 2011. In at number 3, Katie Holmes and Chris Klein. Before she married megastar Tom Cruise, Katie dated fellow actor Chris. The cute couple got engaged on Christmas of 2003, but eventually ended their relationship in March of 2005 after 5 years together, just a month after Chris was busted for drunk driving in San Diego. Chris later shrugged, quote, "We grew up, we weren't lighting each other's fire anymore," and someone else was clearly lighting Katie's fire. Only weeks after breaking up with Chris, Katie made her first public appearance with Tom Cruise. Tomcat then divorced after a 6-year marriage. And at number 2, Lance Armstrong and Sheryl Crow. This couple came as a bit of a shock to me, and I guess it proved that you should never try to marry a rebound. Lance Armstrong divorced from his first wife in September of 2003, and shortly after this he started dating singer Sheryl Crow. Nobody was sure if they would stand the test of time because this was very clearly a rebound relationship for Lance. To everyone's shock, the new couple got engaged in September of 2005 and started planning a Santa Barbara wedding. But by February of 2006, the couple was done, and they decided to end their engagement. In his 2009 biography, Lance admitted that they wanted different things. He wrote, quote, "She wanted marriage, she wanted children. I didn't want that at the time because I had just gotten out of a marriage, I just had kids." The pair both moved on years later and both ended up having 2 children with other partners. And finally, number 1, Jesse James and Kat Von D. This couple was the definition of messy, and thankfully they did not end up together, because it most likely would have been very toxic. After getting in a very public scandal when he cheated on his ex-wife, Sandra Bullock, Jesse James moved on with celebrity tattoo artist Kat Von D. They first got together in 2010 and were engaged by January of 2011. We got to see the ins and outs of the wedding planning on her reality TV show, LA Inc. But before they could get married, they broke up. But like I said, this couple is messy, so they got back together and broke up once again, being officially over in September of 2011. It was later revealed that the reason for the breakup was cheating rumors. Really, who is shocked? That was not the last time that Kat went into a relationship before marriage though. She was engaged to music producer Deadmau5 after her split from James, but she also ended that engagement. So that's all for the list. Let me know your thoughts below. Before I go, I'm going to shout out some comments from celebrities that tried to warn us about Olivia Rodrigo. Queen said, "Leave the artist alone. Some things are inspired, not copied." I mean, completely. I think most of the stuff she does is inspired, but it's just very similar that, I mean, there's so much of it, it could be, I mean, it's not crazy to say it might be copied. Then Shannon said, "Taylor's career and her enemies don't automatically fall into Olivia because she's a Swiftie. If you don't know how PR works, the team will generally send those packages to celebrities with a following because they'll help promote the album. Kim supported Driver's License when it came out, so obviously her team thought to send her a package. Kim's injustices were to Taylor, not to Olivia." I completely agree, and I think people that know the industry know that, you know, Olivia firstly had no control over who her stuff was getting sent to, and Kim's a massive celebrity, so you would send her everything possible, right? So I think that one was really overblown, and hopefully Taylor Swift apologized to Olivia or said something, they said something privately about it, because that one was really ridiculous. Alright guys, that is all for the video today. I've been your host, Mackenzie Smith, and we will catch you in the next one.